Hey everybody, welcome to Surface Level, creating a community where Black and queer folks are fearless in thought and curious at heart. I'm one of your hosts, Tony, and today, Jordan, Damon, and I are discussing breaking your addiction to an ex-love. Have we ever been addicted to an ex-lover post-breakup? What are some coping mechanisms that helped us move on? This is Case of the Ex. All right, this one is going to be we're going into murky territory now.
We are going into
uncharted waters.
Yes.
This is something we've never discussed on the podcast. A
Rolling
surface
in the
level
deep.
Exclusive. It's going to be rolling in the deep.
It is.
So, how deep do you want to get?
Is that the name of the
Surface
game?
level.
You're going to get surface level? We're going to go deeper beyond.
Go
Beyond
deeper.
the surface
level.
Where's your
level.
sweatshirt at?
Child. Hanging up in the closet, in the garment bag.
So, I thought this might be fun, and I don't even know why the name came to mind, but I do share a birthday with the great Aaliyah. And
Where are we going
well,
with Aaliyah?
well,
Maya sings the song.
this,
girl.
this is gonna all make sense. Well, Maya sings "Case of the
the
Ex" for our younger demographic. Those of you out there listening, go back and tune in. That's an amazing song. But this song is also great, and this is the name of our game. It's called "Are You That Somebody?"
Ooh.
Now, are you that somebody? Now, we're going to talk about habits that might be the root cause that led to breakups. So, are you that somebody who blends your friend circle with your relationship? Jordan?
Yes.
Damon?
Was,
Is?
but not is.
Was, but not is.
Was but not is. What was then was not now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have your own damn friends.
I'm someone who was, and then I quickly saw the was not is. And moving forward, I was like, nope, there needs to be separation. Like you guys can know each other, but we can't. There's a comfortability level and boundaries that can't be crossed.
You guys are anti-integration of friend groups?
No.
I'm not 100%, but I'm saying there's got to be a cutoff point.
Oh, yeah.
in which is recognized as.
Oh, I thought the question was just like, never.
No, not
Well,
in
what kind of
general.
relationship?
I don't know. A secret one.
Girl.
So, are you that somebody who looks through your partner's phone?
no.
No.
That was quick.
I've never done that.
Don't go get the.
You've never been tempted.
No, honestly, if I feel like there is a lapse of trust, or I feel like there's something to be skeptical about,
shouldn't be
I'm
here.
more direct and just saying what my skepticism is. But like going through a phone just feels like the end of any relationship. Like if you have to go there, just leave.
Well, we're going to talk about directness real soon, coming up shortly. Are you that somebody who has attachment issues? Jordan?
No. Sorry.
Yeah,
Jordan, yeah.
I think so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Damon?
No.
Okay, 10 toes down on that note. All right, well, are you that somebody who talks about the issues head on, or do you keep emotions bottled up? And when you think about that, I want you to think about, like, do you let your body language or your mood convey how you feel in the hopes of that they'll get a clue? Or do you like lay down the gauntlet and say, bitch, this ain't how this gonna be. Come sit down. We're gonna have a ponderosa. Jordan?
I tried the latter, the former approach first, which is not addressing it and just sort of hoping that nonverbal cues can sort of send a message that I'm unhappy, and then hopefully that will lend its way into an actual productive conversation. But obviously that's not very great. I'm not very proud of that. So actively trying to put myself in uncomfortable situations and just have the uncomfortable conversation.
That makes sense.
I'm mostly looking people in the face and talking, but I think I talked about it on this season, found a place where I may be uncomfortable sometimes and I haven't addressed things directly. But like that, I would say that's more the exception to most of my normal behaviors.
Yes.
And I am actively working on not doing that shit. 'cause I
Right,
don't like
right.
it.
Yeah, I think same. It's hard because emotions are tricky, and although I'm that person that I want to say something, and probably now I'm like more that person, like, let's address it. Because when shit ain't right, my energy is off, and
Oh yeah.
it's giving like, you know, that we ain't on the best of terms. So we might as well talk about it instead of just moping around each other when we know like we need to have this conversation.
Right.
Are you that somebody who compares your relationship to other relationships that you deem successful? Go.
No. I think being in a relationship,
not even subconsciously.
I think being in a relationship and being in long-term relationships in the past, I realized that what you project out to the public and what you put on social media is a highlight reel. And sometimes it has no direct reflection on what's actually happening day to day.
Yep.
So when I see happy couples, I'm just like, I hope they are really happy. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's not always the case.
100,000%.
What he said.
You know, everything that glitters ain't gold. Are you that somebody who has a competitive edge with your partner? Do you guys compete? Is it giving, I make more money, you make less money? Is it giving, I am better with my family? Like, you gotta talk to your dad about shit that you ain't. Are you competitive in that way? My friend circle has got their shit figured out. Who are those people you claim as your friends?
Tony, I hope that's not what you're doing in your relationships.
What's the tea?
I won't say I'm competitive, but I will say that I am a professional fault finder.
Ooh.
And that's something that I'm also actively working on. But I can't help it. It's a personality thing, but like I zero in on the things that I find bothersome. And especially if I feel like I have myself together in that realm, I don't understand why my partner doesn't. So I can sort of get like judgy in that way, but it doesn't come from a place of like, I'm better than you. It comes from a place of like, why haven't you figured this out? And I have.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That sounds like a place if I'm better than you.
That sounds like
really?
That sounds like an argument.
What?
Oh.
That sounds
What
like
did you think
fighting
that
words.
That don't sound like a
Well,
place.
I know it ain't right, child. I'm just saying, like, this is where I'm at currently.
Right.
Meet me where I'm at.
Damon,
I'm at a better place.
how about you? Are we competing?
No.
Yeah, you don't compete. You can't compete when you don't compare.
Do not compare yourself to me.
And that's also competing. For the record, that's also competing.
I didn't say that. I was talking about damn.
Oh my goodness. And finally, are you that somebody who lacks consistency and follow through? Ooh, child. Get into it now.
I think only when I feel slighted and when I feel like, you know, the energy is off, then it's very easy for me to just also fall back and not address it and just be like, okay, well, I can fall back more. But like typically I try to I'm a planner. I try to do things in advance. I try to make sure that things are happening. I try to add experiences to the dating environment. But I do withhold if I feel like the other person isn't meeting me halfway.
Damon.
The question again?
So the question is, do you lack consistency and follow through? Are you that somebody?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, for me, first of all, I want to say that I don't compare myself to other relationships. 1, I didn't answer that. 2, I don't compete with my partner. And 3, I have an issue with consistency and sometimes follow through. But when I'm aware of that. And if you're someone who I'm trying to like make a moment with, I keep it in mind so that I can actively say, you know what? I need to do that thing that I know I'm bad at doing. So
you can do that thing you know you're good at doing.
Yes, baby. You got it right. Ding, ding, ding.
Okay. So with cases of the ex, sometimes people find themselves addicted or maybe not as serious. They just can't really get over the ex-lover. Have you ever been in that scenario? And what had you in that chokehold? Was it companionship, sex, not wanting people to know that it didn't work out? Tony, it looks like something's bubbling under.
Well, you know what? I'm going to start here.
Oh, we're starting with the card.
We got to get into it. Like, we're going to get into some things on this episode.
No buffer.
And this episode, I'm very, I'm walking on eggshells, but I'm not.
Okay, remind me.
So there's an article in The Cut that says, "Are you an exaholic?" And I just want to set the stage. So it says an exaholic has unrequited hope, which often isn't based in reality. They're delusional. And they are paralyzed by intense cravings to contact, be in close proximity to, or get information about their ex. And it says that they're, obsessed with thoughts about their ex, and it impacts their ability to function at the same level, which is all bad. Yeah. And so that's why I can't personally say that I'm addicted or have been addicted to an ex-love. And, I think that when you have your person, like it hits different. And so to me, I've fallen into a place where like I understand what it means to like have that.
Yeah.
And enjoy that. And so when you're getting over or you're getting out of a relationship, like shaking that is easier said than done. When I was a kid, I used to be able to drop the girls like a bad habit and say like, thank you, next. However, I've grown into this like human being, very emotional, very in tune with my feelings. And I didn't realize like that can happen. So for me, companionship has been really important. So it's been less about the ego. Like I know a lot of people are in a chokehold because of how it might be perceived by others when they are not in that relationship that we talked about earlier that is on Instagram and everyone's like, you guys are goals. And it's like, actually.
Fuck goals.
Oh my God. That's the worst. That's like a kiss of death. I love y'all. I love y'all so much.
I love y'all.
Girl, I'm dying on the inside.
Right. So yeah, that's my story. That's what the quick and dirty on that. How about you, Jordan?
No, I've never been addicted to an ex, but I did have a really hard time moving on from one particular ex, and it was because there was such a strong established friendship that preceded the relationship, and I had known this person for over a decade, and we had been friends, and we've sort of seen each other sort of move through life over the course of the years, and we were to the point of the game that we were playing, like integrating friends. We were very integrated, and it felt like when that relationship was over, it wasn't just the end of a relationship. Like so many different aspects of my life had changed, and it felt like it happened overnight. And it was just like a very sad experience. Like, and I don't talk about it a lot because I don't like to be vulnerable, and I kind of deal with a lot of things internally, but it took me a while to sort of move beyond it. And quite frankly, like I still have moments and there's still memories where I'm just like, oh, like this reminds me of that person. And now I'm sad for 10 minutes, but
just 10 minutes, no more, no less.
It might have been 9 minutes.
Might have been 9.
But like it's
I hate y'all.
But I mean, I do think that it's been difficult. It's difficult when you feel like, for me at least, that there was like a very strong foundation to the relationship, and for whatever reason it didn't work out. There's a million reasons why relationships don't work out. And yeah, it's that is probably it's been hard to move past previous relationships, but I don't think I've ever been addicted, especially not based on what the cut said. That's crazy.
Well, listen, when it's
I know girls like that, but I'm not that girl.
It's based in reality, and there's a lot of girls that live in an alternate universe.
Oh, I know them. I know the ones.
And so those ones, and we've all seen them. It's giving very much of like, what planet are you on? Because I'm not on that one.
Okay, not on yours,
Damon.
Y'all are ridiculous.
Not she's so meek and coy.
It's just fun. It was never this addiction where I felt like, oh, like I want to be with this person consistently. But I remember like when you care for someone a lot, you love them, like those feelings don't go away, and the things that you want to see them. So like I had an ex who was basically just in a really tough spot in his life.
Yeah.
And I remember after we ended that relationship, I was still highly concerned about him doing well. Yeah. And I think I had a hard time reconciling the fact in that relationship and then beyond it until I sorted my own shit out. It was just like, I can't save this person.
Right.
Like he had some stuff he has to work through on his own. And I think that I had to realize that I couldn't, in the relationship or outside of it, be that person.
Right.
And I think that was something that I hadn't learned even as it ended. And like I remember, I was actually with Tony and one of our friends, and I was talking about him. I was like, I just want to know that he's okay.
Yeah.
And I just remember like feeling very still emotionally attached to this person, and wanting to make sure that they were okay and feeling bad that I in no way could help facilitate their, I don't know, okayness. Sorry, I don't have a better word right now. But the real lesson was just like, I couldn't do that before. Even if we had been still been together,
Right.
they needed to do that thing for themselves.
100%. And listen, the girls are getting a very inside look into the personalities of the hosts of Surface Level, because a lot of people have Damon as, pegged as this person who's always got their foot on your neck. But when you really dial back and pull back the layers,
No, Damon's so not.
when
person.
you go behind the curtain,
Yeah,
he's very much of like this person that really cares about other human beings. So
I mean, that's one, like, I joke a lot about the fact that, like, I'm like, I don't have a lot of friends, I don't build a lot of relationships and so on. But like, it's because of that. It's because, like, any of my close, like, anyone that is close to me knows that, like, some shit goes down, some shit goes wrong, you can call me. And not that I can fix it, I can save you, but I'll do the best that I fucking can. And I can't do that. And I can't do that for a whole lot of fucking people. So unfortunately, the door is closed on applications.
please call someone else. Another emergency contact would be very much appreciated. No, but I mean, I think a lot of people sort of struggle with moving past previous lovers, and today it's even more difficult because it's exacerbated by social media. Like, you have this direct line of access into people's lives. And I mean, if you're a normal couple, you're probably following each other on social media. And if you are still following that person after you all split, like, I want to know from your perspectives, like, have you ever stalked an ex? And if you haven't stalked the ex, like, have you ever, like, in the beginning stages of like meeting a new potential partner, have you like been super obsessive about like looking at their social media and trying to like gather as much information as possible? Tony.
now I'd be a goddamn lie if I said that I never checked in on an ex's social footprint
Oh, all right.
to see what all was going on over there. With a keen eye, However, I can't say it was stalker behavior at all. Mild curiosity at best.
That's what stalkers say.
Very mild. But it's just like you still initially there's still you don't just cut the cord on, especially if you have like had a substantial relationship.
That seems
you
really
don't
difficult.
just cut the cord. You want to check on them, like Damon was saying. You want to see how they're doing. And that was more of what it was, and less of like, I'm still thinking about them. I still want to be with them. I'm having these obsessive thoughts. I can't be my full self without them. Like, I could do bad all by myself. Period. However, I have grown into a person that even though you might have did some shit I don't fuck with, you might have really gotten on my nerves, whatever it is, like, I still care about your well-being at the end of the day. Unless you really, like, it takes a lot for me to not care about your well-being as a human being. And that means you were down in the gutter. So that's where the buck stops with me. What about you, Damon?
I forgot the question.
Well, the question was, have you ever stalked an ex? Or if you haven't, stalked a potential next.
It sounds like, is that show, that show on Netflix, does that have something to do about like stalker? I haven't watched it yet, but I've been told I need to watch it.
It's
okay.
Scary.
I'm gonna have to get into that.
I wouldn't say I stalked the next. I would say the one scenario that I can think of was some years ago, where someone I had dated, and this is before I think about relationships the way I do now. You'll understand this when I tell this story. But someone I had dated, like, broke their leg, and an associate, loose friend of ours was the person there taking care of them. And I was just like, what in the fuck is going on here? And then I was like on Instagram.
Oh,
like,
I remember, baby.
You remember this. And then I was just like, oh, okay.
You helping my man?
Right, literally.
Like, what is happening?
But like, I don't think that way now, but this was like
Yeah.
8 years ago. But that's when I was thinking about that question earlier, I remembered that. I thought it was funny.
Well, I mean, when we're younger, like that's part of it. Like, the mindset is so different. And it's more of that like stalker ish behavior and less of like caring about their well-being for real. It was like, I care about your well-being, but I care more about this bitch who's taking care of you.
Who ain't with your broke leg? It's like,
Right.
who the fuck is helping you with your leg? Meanwhile, what?
Meanwhile.
Yeah, I mean, I have a similar answer. I'm not really stalking social medias like after I've like, ended a relationship. I'm obviously, I don't think I've ever blocked anybody who I've ever had a serious relationship with. So we always continue to follow each other on social media, with the exception of whatever.
Not him.
Yeah. No, no, not today. But yeah, so yeah, I don't really do that. But to answer the other part of the question of like stalking potential nexes, that is my strong suit.
Stalking nexus.
Gotcha. Well, all I need is a name and a hometown, and I can figure out everything. I can give you a report.
Listen, you go right to Facebook. That's the report.
Well, Facebook. It's a aggregate of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So if you ever need help with that, sure, let me know.
Listen, we got a private investigator, our resident private investigator.
Hello.
And I did that because I talked about this earlier in the season, and this is my New Year's resolution. I'm trying to not idealize relationships too much, and I feel like when I'm like just meeting somebody, I'm like, oh my goodness, that was a great date. Let me find out everything. Let me see what our life is going to look like.
Right.
So I'm trying not to
just
do
like,
that.
I don't think it's gonna work because I think that in 5 years they're going to like blink wrong. I saw him blinking really funny in a video.
Well,
and it was
listen,
like, that
you know
blinking
what?
I can't look at forever.
As our professional fault finder, our resident professional fault finder, he will find the flaw.
It's a fine tooth comb. Okay.
It's like a hairline fracture. She just rips it open.
All right. So getting back onto like exes. So, we live in New York. We're gay. We're black. The circle is small. The social gatherings and the options to socially gather with our community is even smaller. Let's talk about running into our exes after, their ex was obviously after we were with them.
Yeah.
But does anybody have any awkward stories of like running into an ex? Tony, you look like you have something that you want to share.
Tony's the bush queen on the scene. So.
Not moving the hair out of the way.
Move your wig back, Tony. Push it out.
Put it all behind my ears.
Just take it off.
Put it in the bun.
I typically don't run into one ex in particular because they don't really like. They're not us on the scene. They're not a butch queen on the scene. They're a butch queen, not on the scene. So there's that, but. It was so interesting because you guys know this story. Like I ran into this particular ex after having a pseudo breakup because we didn't really like ever sit down to say like, hey, this is over. It kind of was just like
Tony just left.
We just knew, but both parties knew it was an end.
All right, girl.
It wasn't giving, so we never like sat down. I wanted to. Yeah. That moment never happened. So I'm at a restaurant with other friends, and said person walks into the restaurant, and then. Terrible. I immediately text you, Jordan, and see you're gagging.
I remember
you're gagging. I immediately text Jordan. I immediately text Damon.
I call that Uber so fast.
I immediately text Carla. And why all three of them from all different points in New York City descend down onto this restaurant, and we won't. The restaurant will remain nameless.
Hey, Tony.
Literally. And
so good seeing you here.
It was just giving like they all arrived, and so I was convinced that if I had any words that I needed to get out of my system, and like because we never actually had like closure, that I should go over there and like do that. And this ex was with like people I didn't know who the fuck these people were. Like literally, sorry to these girls. And so I walked over, tapped him on the shoulder, and I said, hey, listen, do you think it was okay that how things ended? We were supposed to have a conversation. You needed time. You never did that. What's going on? I thought you were better than that. And he was like, yeah, you know what? Let's grab coffee. This is my bad. X, Y, and Z. Never happened, of course. However, a friend said, do you need that for that chapter to be closed? And I thought I did, but that moment was the closure for me. Like I actually am I'm okay. I don't need to sit down and be like, hey, but I thought we owed it to each other after 3.5 years. And so it was awkward, but not because I think it's awkward if you make it. I owned it. And so, you know, it was different from me, but very like that story is kind of like iconic.
That was sitting back in the back of my mind, and when you brought it up right now, I was like, oh my goodness, that did happen. That was actually like a full moment.
It was a full moment. You girls, listen, I have good friends. They support. I don't know what y'all were doing, but y'all arrived within like 10, 15 minutes.
Sitting on the couch watching Netflix, child. Trying to avoid social plans with other people.
Basically.
Jordan. So I don't really have like an awkward story of running in with like an ex. Quite frankly, like the exes that I have, like we're all in a good place. Every time I run into them, it's always like a very pleasant catch up. I will talk about though, to just like make this a little bit more riveting. This person who I was dating, so I won't call them like an ex-lover, but somebody who I was dating who I was like obsessed with. And it was like towards the beginning of my like New York experience, and like I didn't even know how to act around them. Like at one point they asked me if I was a virgin because I was acting like Mother Teresa around them.
I know where we're going now.
You know who I'm talking about. I was obsessed with this person.
I'm so sad. I'm more sad for me and Damon than you.
I was extremely sad. And it just sort of fizzled out. It didn't go anywhere. And it was only maybe like a couple of weeks after we stopped communication that I saw this person out at a club. And I was just like, you know what? I was being dumb. I need to like go get my man. And I walked up and I was like I was heavy on the flirt. And it was just like, and I think he noticed that I was heavy on the flirt too. So he was just like, let's not go any further. He was like, meet my boyfriend. And I was like, ah!
Gagged.
I gagged. I wanted to melt into the dance floor.
And how did the boyfriend look?
Sickening.
Ooh, even worse.
He was sickening.
Even worse.
I was gonna throw up and cry.
Even worse.
I was just like, oh my God. And I was just like, okay. Congratulations.
The one that got away.
I'm so happy for you.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
Congratulations. You played yourself. They gave very much DJ Khaled.
I was just like, oh my goodness. But you know, we grow up, like I think that it was very young. I was trying to like present something that I wasn't because I felt very insecure and like not adequate to the person.
But you thought he was older. He's the age we are. We
no shade. No shade. Right? He was our age when we were that age, and now
I thought because he was older that I had to be more sophisticated too.
Well, listen,
and I thought that meant I needed to like be like, oh,
you had imposter syndrome. I get it.
Right.
Now the question becomes: is he the one that got away? You'll never know.
I actually think I'm okay.
You actually think you're okay?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm not.
I'm sick, actually.
Like, no, you need to still figure that out.
I wish you could figure that out
okay.
for the next moment.
I really think I'm okay.
I understand. Mm-hmm. Well, Damon, we saved you for last because I know your answer's gonna be like, I don't care about these niggas.
I don't know.
I'm trying to. Now he's trying to reword his sentence. You took it from him.
No, I don't have a crazy. Well, you know what's funny? I have that's kind of funny, fairly funny scenario that happened with, I guess, 2 exes. Well, not one of them was not the ex at the time.
Girl, the ex with the next.
So you were with the next, and
yes.
The ex was there.
We were at homecoming. And I was texting an ex, like flirty. It was homecoming. I was drunk. It was after the tailgate show.
Oh, wow.
Well, the tailgate do you in?
Tailgate did me in. So
I was
texting this ex of mine. And I didn't realize that my boyfriend at the time had my iPad.
Ooh.
Not because he was like being fun. He was like using it for something. I left it at the house.
Yeah, you just
and then my like text alert started to come up from my drunk homecoming text to the ex.
Yeah. Not waiting at home with the lights off. When you walk in the door.
Right.
So you lied.
How was your weekend?
Bitch, that scenario is sickening.
Meanwhile, he was at home doing
That's
something.
what happened
Something
on
he
Love.
wasn't supposed to be doing. So it was fine.
All the girls are cheating on each other.
That's what happened on Love Life on
That's
HBO.
why I don't believe in
Max.
cheating no more. Fuck off.
Oh, you don't believe in cheating? No,
I don't.
Right. Nobody owns you.
You can't own me.
Just establish that you can be open and then you'd never cheat. Then cheating doesn't exist.
Cheating doesn't exist.
Cheating shouldn't exist.
That's very small-minded of you to think that cheating is a thing.
I think it's a silly concept.
Very silly.
So as we think about, we're talking a lot about exes, and obviously that's focused a lot in the past. What are some of the things, though, that helped you find that closure, help you move on, help you become whatever version of you want to be for yourself, or as you get yourself ready for a new partner potentially? Jordan.
All right. So let me start with the vapid things that I did first. I muted them on social media.
1.
Don't want to see anything they're doing. I got in the gym.
2.
Because I wanted to be a bad bitch.
Period.
As revenge. Khloe Kardashian. Revenge body. Let's elevate into like a little bit more of a like substantial moment. I really dove into books.
3.
And because like it, when I'm looking at screens and when I'm on social media, it's just like it's too much. It's too involved, and I needed to like take myself out of that environment and just sort of like focus. And I probably read like 15 books like after a breakup where I was just like going through them.
But you know what? I don't want to cut you off, but you just knowing you as our friend, we talking about obsessive.
What?
When you like a thing,
Honey,
like you said, I looked up everything about that person. Like, so when you got into books, I read 15 books.
She said, I went to the Schomburg Center. I bought everything in the bookstore.
Well, like, so here's the thing. Like, I mean, I have this weird thing where like, it's really hard for me to like cry about my own struggles. Like, I feel like Damon has maybe seen me cry once. Not even seen me. I was like calling him on the phone crying. Right. But I don't really cry. But if I'm reading a book, I'm weeping. If I'm watching a movie, I'm weeping. And I feel like that's my emotional outlet because I can't find the emotions to cry about the things that are going on in my life. Because then I feel like I don't know. I have an issue with dealing with like trauma in my life.
Makes sense.
So I did a lot of that, and then I spent more time with friends naturally because you know I ain't had no man no more.
4.
So I was just sort of like
That was a fun summer.
It was, and because you know it was. Some people will say it was choreographed.
For context,
but like
we all broke up with our long-term exes within the span of 1 month, like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like I
Not
broke
planned,
up.
not a friendship
Then
pact.
Jordan broke up.
And
then
then
Damon
Damon
broke
broke
up.
up.
And the girls said, y'all did this on purpose. You girls were organizing.
And then we went to Rio and started the podcast.
I was having meetings.
But no, I mean, I spent more time with friends, you know, like you know, when you're in a relationship, like that's your partner, that's your person, and you're spending a lot of time with them. And, you know, being with my friends helped me sort of like get back to the things that I liked because I felt like it was a lot of we in my last relationship. And I was, you know, I was able to get back to the I. So yeah, I feel like those were kind of like my mechanisms to sort of move beyond the sadness.
I'm tickled.
Me,
Go ahead.
me. I fucked a lot.
Yes.
Step 1.
1.
But then more serious. Well, no, just as seriously. I really had to reassess what my idea of care was, and when I say that, I mean I was still stuck on the feelings of that relationship and all those things because I cared about that person and I wanted to see him succeed, and I was having a hard time letting that go. And I realized that it wasn't something I needed to let go. And what I realized in it was that if I loved that person, if I'm with them or if I'm not with them, those feelings of care and those feelings of wanting to see them be successful will stay. And it's not something that I'm trying to get over. What I'm trying to reconcile is the being there and being a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that care is separate from being a part of it. Me caring about their success is the thing that's a thing on its own. me caring about us being together or not being together is a thing on its own.
What you're saying is caring is also like letting go, letting them be on their own island.
Yeah, and I think that was something that was really, really meaningful for me in my life, in recognizing that there didn't have to be this moment of like feeling like everything from that moment in my life was put into a coffin and went away. Because that to me wasn't realistic, nor was it authentic. We talk a lot about authenticity on this show, and I think if you are in a relationship with someone, you don't go from loving them one day to hating them and moving on with your life the next.
Yeah, that's not realistic.
Exactly. So that was the
Not
thing.
at this big age.
No. And that was the thing that I spent a lot of time reconciling and felt good about when I got to a fairly good understanding with myself about it.
Yeah. Love that. That's a moment, like growth. That's what it's giving. But for me, mechanisms to coping and moving on. Well, the best way to get over one man is to get under the next.
On top of another one.
And sometimes
on the side.
Sometimes the next man is your friends. No. What I mean by that, let me clear that up. This is gonna be a soundbite. The girl's gonna be giving a lot, but like sometimes, like it's like Jordan was saying, spending more time with your friends and the people who know you. And I think you get a lot of that time back and you actually can be productive. Like we did some shit that was like, wow, I have all this time. I'm actually putting it to use.
So much free time.
I feel amazing. Like, I don't even know what to say. I highly implore the girls, reclaim some of their time and do something productive with all your talents, because we all have a lot of them that we pour into these corporations.
Like start a podcast.
And so the other thing is, like, I took time for myself, and I actually enjoy not having to worry about another nigga. I'm okay with that, because it takes a lot of effort to consider someone else. And that means, like, I consider my friends, all relationships, as you're considering other people, to be thoughtful, to check up on them every now and then. And
Beyonce checks up on me all the time.
Yeah, well, Beyonce got more time on her hands because she has a staff. I don't. I'm a staff of one. And so it was good to just like be by myself with my own thoughts and do that. But there are a couple of things that I got time to think about. I got time to think about what I learned from that whole experience. Yeah. What my contribution.
I thought you were about to say I learned what I learned from that whole. I was just like, wait a minute.
No, what I learned from the whole experience, like I was going through a human experience.
Yeah.
And I got to sit back and reflect on, like, what did I learn from this?
And also, what was your involvement? You know what I mean?
Bitch, that's my next point.
Oh, sorry.
My next point. She said,
get out of my notes.
Girls,
no, seriously.
The girls know each, because that was my next point. Like, what was my contribution to said experience?
Exactly.
And I got to think about that. Like, what did I contribute? What were the things that I brought to the table that were good and bad, and how I want to move forward in moving about the world. Like, I got to sit and be that, and then the pandemic hit, which gave me extra time. It gave me time on top of time.
Sit your ass there and think about what you've done.
Hello.
And so I thought that was, a very positive experience. You got to reflect. You got to think about all of those things, what you contributed, what they contributed, the good and the bad, and then how you want to move forward. Right. And I think I am better after. You learn from the last situation and you move on to hopefully have a better, more fruitful moment, because you're more aware of who you are and how and what you want. And you can be more vocal about it. Like, you're not tiptoeing around the things before. You're like, actually, in my next situation, I'm saying this in the beginning because I ain't trying to get down the road.
Right.
And
wrong road.
And honestly, Tony, you just sparked, and I want to just say one more thing, because you just sparked an idea. Another thing that helped me really move on was to finally, in my head, forgive the other person. And I felt like when I actually, because a breakup is a lot of emotions. It's anger, it's sadness, it's disappointment, it's regret, it's all of that. And I think that the time that I took to evaluate what my involvement was in the deterioration of a relationship allowed me to say, you know what, all the anger and disappointment that I'm holding on to this person because the relationship didn't work out, I'm allowing myself to forgive this person. And I can actually be okay with their existence, with the fact that it didn't work out,
Listen.
and understand that we were both just figuring it out, and we were both just working through our lives at the same time together. And unfortunately, it wasn't forever, but it doesn't
Right.
mean that, in my situation specifically, it doesn't mean that we were terrible people. And I think that at the breakup, you know, I was very like pissed. And it's just like, it took me a long time to go beyond that pissed and just be like, you know what? This person was actually dealing with something.
Right.
I was dealing with something. No one was perfect.
Yeah. And you know what? You got to take all of that and place it where? Behind God's back. Way back there. And you'll move on.
And that's all the time we have this week. This season of Surface Level is produced in partnership with Moby, Mobilizing Our Brothers Initiative. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going. Let us know your thoughts at surfacelevelpodcast.com. And remember, stay curious.